listeners. It's a new episode of Film Coven, and we're talking our favorite 2000s comedy, Mean Girls. We're here to celebrate the magic of women in cinema at our Film Coven. I'm your host, Kelli Mehan.
And Melissa Woody. And yeah, let's get into it with Mean Girls.
Melissa, how excited are we for this episode today, do you think?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because Kelli, we're probably just gonna quote the entire movie. I mean, this has to be the most iconic, quotable movie of our lifetime. I feel like that's a fair statement. Yeah.
It's definitely one of those universal experiences if you were a teenager in the mid-2000s. Like, it's one of those bonding ones where you can sort of throw out a line and someone will throw it back to you, even if you're like not very, like if you've just met them or things like that. It's one of those ones, like if you say lines like she doesn't even go here, or if you say fetch, like it's a reference machine. It's definitely that movie of the 2000s for me. I busted out my GHDs from 2007 and flat ironed my hair. I still got my vintage like headband that I used to wear when I was like 15, 16. So I've also been watching Gossip Girl, so that also really got me in the mood for this movie because it's all of the same sort of era. So I'm living my late 2000s Blair Waldorf / plastics fantasy right now. Melissa, you first come to Mean Girls. Did you see it in cinemas or was it one you watched later?
Oh yeah, I watched this in the theaters and absolutely loved it. And it's a sleepover staple, as we've talked about on the show several times. This is one that was in the rotation, and yeah, I hadn't seen it in a really long time, so it was really fun to revisit. And I was really shocked how much I was able to quote the movie as I was watching it. It's one of those ones where I kind of know all the beats of the movie, but I never get sick of it though. Like it's a fun time. I could watch it tonight again and like I would be happy. How about you?
Isn't that just the thing? Yeah, I know for sure I saw this at the cinemas. I cannot remember who with. I cannot remember when or anything, because this is another one, like I think you hit the nail on the head with I have not gotten sick of this movie ever. So I most definitely had the DVD. I know it came out for sleepovers, but I reckon this is one that I watched just in my life on my own as well. I think this is not just, I don't remember a sleepover thing. And that's the other thing, I don't remember really set times that I've watched this movie. It's just one, like a bit like Clueless, like it's just in a constant rotation over my life. And like you said, I might not have watched it for a few years and then come back to it. I know I just watched it last year when I was really sick because I went through a big, like, what are all my favorite movies? So that was one of them. And it doesn't age for me. And we are just extremely biased, I think, because we lived through the time period. I wonder if you have fresh eyes on it, or if you're a young person nowadays, I would be really interested what the take is on it, because I watched it with Alec and he had never seen it before. And it was one of those things, like in our friends group, he wouldn't get the references of what we're doing. Like we would do like,
not like a regular mom, I'm a cool mom.
You know, all those sorts of things. And he's just like faced. And we love Tina Fey, we love Dirty Rock and that type of writing. And the script for this is just juicy. I love it. But he was like, well, I wasn't a girl at the time and I'm watching it now. And he's like, yeah, it was funny, but it didn't hit for me. So I'm really wondering, I would be really keen if there's anyone like in the comments, like give me your experience. Like, I think we talk about in the 80s that the Goonies, I think that's the prime example of if you didn't watch it as a kid, you might have missed the boat, and you can still see it enjoyable for what it is, but it's not part of your core. And I wonder if this is that for the 2000s.
I very much view this as a like modern classic because I do think overall it does age fairly well. There's a few jokes, you know, here and there that don't age like amazing, but overall, like it's the comedy still really lands though, regardless of maybe like political correctness of it all. I really find this movie to be, it feels like, I wouldn't say timeless per se, but like I do think it ages well, but it also does feel very in that time period at the same time. I know that's maybe a convoluted statement. It feels like both in a way, which I know that they did make the Mean Girls 2024 musical movie this year that I think maybe addresses what you're saying, like trying to maybe capture Mean Girls with a modern audience. I did watch it. I have opinions. I don't feel like it was successful in my opinion. I don't know, Kelli. I went on a rant on my Letterboxd about it. Anyways, I digress.
Can it be summed up as it wasn't fetch? It's never going to happen. I love it. It's a personal brand. I love it.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
We talked at the top of the show that more than likely we're just going to quote the whole thing. So, like, disclaimer. The ladies at Film Coven will be quoting this nonstop and have the giggles for the whole episode. So if that sounds like your type of episode, strap in, because we're going through the major beats of the film, because we talked about it and we just want to talk about the whole thing. So let's kick off with Cady. Lindsay Lohan has been homeschooled in Africa. Her parents are zoologists, and she comes to, I think it's Illinois that they're in America.
So.
And it's her first time in school. They're 16, 17, they'd be juniors, I think, because juniors.
Yeah, juniors. Yeah.
Yeah. I could not imagine being thrust into high school at that age. Like, that would be such a shocker, and she really learns it. And I think the use of narration in this film is great. They usually talk about narration as a tool, like it's a bit of a cheap tactic, but I think the marrying of her National Geographic-esque perspective at times and just getting us into her head, it's not ever overused. A lot of the time it is conversations. It's only used when we really are just trying to get her thought process. So talking about how I wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom when I wanted to go, and everything was so weird to me, and I know how this would be solved in the jungle world. I thought that's used really well. And we get our introduction to Janice and
Damien.
It's Janice and Damien as well, who sort of take her through the school.
I very much echo what you're saying. I don't always really like narration in movies, but, you know, sometimes it is really used in an effective way, and I think this is a great example of it used properly, because we get to hear Cady's inner monologue, and we know her psyche throughout the entire movie, which I really enjoy, and I think it very much helps with the whole character arc of her. Yeah, it was interesting watching it this time around, and maybe this is kind of embarrassing, but the scene where she is in the bathroom eating lunch, I actually like teared up a little bit. I don't know what's going on, Kelly, but I feel like a little bit more emotional when I'm watching movies, because I know one of our other movies we recently watched, I also cried. But yeah, and I'm like, Mean Girls, why am I crying? But like it really like struck a chord with me, and maybe it's just I don't know, it maybe brought me back to like just high school sucked, and like just those feelings of just like feeling alone. I think a big part of high school is like, where do I fit in? And it's definitely a part of life where you're discovering yourself and trying to figure out who you are. And man, I know it's a short little scene, but I find it so like effective, like the music and everything. But yeah, not to be a downer, but I wanted to bring it up.
No, here, let me bring it back up, because you and I had extremely different reactions to that, because I saw her eating in the toilet and went, oh my God, the germs, that's so disgusting.
And I'm just crying.
I so understand what you're saying, because we are 15 to 20 years out of high school at this point, and we've had a lot of time to grow, and we've had a lot of time to adapt into the people that we would like to become, and to feel more sure of ourselves, and to find people in our lives that love us for who we are. So to see teenagers, and especially to look back at this is really what we would have had in our time, I can very much understand why that would be emotional for you. There was bits and pieces throughout the movie that was like, I didn't cry, but I just felt like that, like stabbed to the chest. I'm like, oh, that's hurting me. Like, I'm really relating to this right now, because it did take me back. The three-way call is a big thing of that. I definitely have three-way called people. I've been three-way called. It is just a nasty, nasty tool that girls use. So there are those sort of moments like that, like when I'm watching the film. So how do you find that introduction to Janice and Damien, and sort of them telling you about the cafeteria and the cliques and breaking it down?
I love the two of them. I love how Janice, I think like one of the first things she says is like, there's like a guy passing by and she's like, your mom's chest hair. Hi, I'm Janice. Like, just like right after. So it's like, okay. And then, yeah, just, I think they're a good duo.
Yes.
Damien and Janice. And I mean, when I think back to my high school experience, not to keep talking about that, but like, I definitely relate with the Janice character quite a bit. I think she's somebody who throughout the entire film pretty much rejects her femininity and like is trying to be so the opposite of Regina, but yet they're pretty similar. in a lot of ways. But again, I love just the comedic beats of this movie with the quotes and everything, and the characters are great. And yeah, I love how she like draws the different clicks. Like it's very artistic.
That is
like,
so good.
It looks great, and it's true. You know, I feel like in high school there really is kind of these different cliques of people.
What table you sit at really defines who you are, who you're friends with. Absolutely. So I love that transition is so smooth. It's fantastic when they're sitting there and it's like goes into the drawing almost and you pan through. It's like the greatest people you'll ever meet and the worst. Like, yeah, the way she breaks down jocks, burnout, theater geeks, like everything a little bit different. And then we get, and the worst people you'll ever meet, and we get our introduction to the plastics as when they're sitting at the back building. And oh my God, would you look at Karen Smith's gym clothes? Like the way they go through, I'm so sorry, I'm just going to say it, like.
No, I love it, keep going.
Karen Smith, she's the dumbest girl you'll ever meet. That next to her in English, she has orange. That little one over there, that's Gretchen Wieners. Her dad invented toaster strudels. Her hair's so big, secrets.
That is definitely a quote I use all the time.
You will take this human form in Regina George. She might look like your usual skank bitch, but she's so much worse. That's all paraphrased, but basically that's our whole introduction to the plastics. And then another device I really like is we get to interview all the different people talking about Regina. So it's not just Janice's perspective. It's like, she punched me in the face. It was awesome. And she just car commercials in Japan. Like and it sets up really well the way that you see someone from every little group have some sort of opinion on Regina. And it really does solidify that she's the central figure of the school. And they talk about she's the queen bee, the other two are just her little worker bees.
I absolutely love the intro to the plastics, and my God, when that Missy Elliott like just like music hits, I'm just like, let's fucking go. Like
oh yes, is it Pass the Dutch? Like that came out, and that's the banger. Like when that beat starts hitting me, you like yes, let's go.
Yeah, and I just love how she's like being carried by all these guys, and then her like her shorts are rolled. That was such a thing in high school, like having your shorts rolled in PE. That was like such a thing. So I love that little detail. Transitioning to the cafeteria scene where it's like Cady's being hit on by Jason. Can I butter your muffin?
Is your muffin buttered?
What?
Would you like us to assign someone to butter your muffin?
What?
No, thank you.
You can go shave your back now, Jason. Bye.
So you can go shave your back now. Bye, Jason.
And that's the thing about Regina George is that she has a cut down for everybody. Her mind works so quick. She is so manipulative and can manipulate the situation to her favor and respond to people and just either cut them at the knees or make herself look better for the situation. She does throughout the whole film. And I've never been someone with that type of brain. And it really took me watching this movie being like, those people scare me, like big time.
Oh, same. Yeah, because I don't know. I'm not great with conflict.
No.
And yeah, when people are really good with their words and just like can be so quick with just stabbing you with their words, it's just like, ugh, yeah, those people terrify me. So yeah, Regina George, I would not want to cross her path.
No. and Cady sort of brings it up. It's like when you're hanging out with her, it's like having your own Barbie doll. Like, and when you are in her good books, everything feels amazing. Hanging with the plastics is better than being a nobody. So it's really interesting. This cafeteria scene has some of the best quotes from the whole movie. Definitely. We talked about the political correctness a little bit, but you have to say sort of like some of the quotes. So it's like, if you come from Africa, why are you white? Oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white. Like, that is definitely one I hear thrown about a lot. I think something that really tapped in, because you see Regina sort of save Cady per se from the sky and then sit down and come in. Why haven't I seen you before? I just moved here. And she seems really nice. but it's already that little twitch there where and Cady's not prepared for entering girl world. It's like, because you're really pretty. Oh, thank you. Oh, so you agree? You think you're really pretty?
You're like really pretty. Thank you. So you agree? What? You think you're really pretty? Oh, I don't know.
Oh, that is just like, how do you handle that? It's just like, ugh.
I wouldn't know either because you're just sort of trained to be like, oh yeah, thanks, like take.
Yeah.
But the way, and I still remember thinking about that from being a teenager, going like, oh, like just if you are saying thank you, does that mean I like the way she twists the words? This is the mind of Regina George and why she could be one of like the most ultimate supervillains in a movie, I think.
And I love, as she's asking her these questions, she's like, what? What? And like, because Cady doesn't
I didn't say anything.
because Cady doesn't understand the social norms of like a Western high school, like that's just slang of like, oh my god, or like no way kind of thing. But like she's just like, I didn't say anything. And then she's saying what? Like she's confused. So she's like continuing to explain herself. So I kind of love how that unfolds. I don't know. On this watch, I kind of was like, what is Regina's intentions? It's like, what? She's just a naive girl that will be easily to manipulate? Is that like why she plucks out Cady? I don't know. I was just thinking about that a bit more on this rewatch. It's like, what was really like her intentions, or like the why?
I think that's really interesting because by the time Christmas starts, so a few months later, Gretchen sort of says, why would she send you a candy cane? Because she doesn't really like you. So I think that's a really interesting point, Melissa. For me, it's because she is pretty. Lindsay Lohan's very pretty in this movie. And if you are a pretty queen bee, you have the bestest, hottest, prettiest friends around you. So that's where I sort of get out of it. And I think as well, sort of like you said, I think she's something new, something fresh, because like they had that scene where like they do her hair and like they put the makeup on her and sort of it's very clueless, Cher and Dion taking in Ty, like that's the sort of vibe I get.
I mean, same. I was like just pondering on it a little bit more this time. I was just like, okay, what was really going on? But yeah, I think it's a mix of kind of what you just said and maybe something else. Who knows? And maybe just like seeing her as competition, like you're saying, like another attractive new person coming to the school. Like, oh, I need to like keep your friends close, or keep your enemies close. Wait, what's this?
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Thank you. So maybe that's kind of what happened.
I would say so. Usually, like, the pretty girls try, if you got any new students, like, another one, like, bring them into the cult sort of thing, and then you keep asserting your queen bee status as well. Another great quote from that scene is, we're going to invite you to have lunch with us for the rest of the week. And tomorrow's Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, we wear pink. I love the follow-up. So Cady has been more friends with Janice and Damien at this point, and they're in the girls' bathroom, and Janice is cackling. It's like, okay, this is sort of our kick-off point of the movie. You have to go with them and then come back and tell me all the stupid things that they say. And the other throwaway line is like, but I have to wear something pink. Do anything if you have something pink? And Janice, no. Damien, yes. I love it's such a good comedic touch that Cady wears his big pink polo and it's oversized. Like, I think that's such a good look. That whole them in the whole three pink looks is one of the bigger parts of the iconic costume year of the film, I would say.
I want to shout out Mary Jane Fort. She is the costume designer of this movie. Also, fun fact, she also costumed Bring It On. Yes, girl. I really, like, on this watch especially, just having more of that critical eye and just knowing that we're kind of going to be, like, analyzing the movie a bit more, I think the costuming in this movie is brilliant. And yeah, I think just, like you were saying, when they're all wearing the pink, I think that very much just highlights all the characters, especially at that point. But I think just even throughout the entire movie, just the different character arcs of it all very much are in the clothing. And, like, on the other side, like, Janice, she doesn't really change much, which I think also says some things as well. At the end, you kind of get the little clips that are a little bit more girly, but that's kind of it for her, versus I think everyone else has a little bit more of an arc when it comes to the close of it all, and especially Cady. Like, she's definitely the number one person who starts out with maybe more neutral tones and like more like comfortable clothes, and then as the movie progresses, and then as the movie progresses, it gets tighter, shorter, pink, and then I think by the end it's a mix of both, where like I think she's just more in a self-acceptance kind of place.
Doesn't that absolutely speak to high school, where you are discovering who you are and through your clothes? Like I've said before, like I still don't have like all my strange clothes and like my fringe and stuff like that, but I'm so happy I went through it all. And that's and your friend group influences that as well. Everyone sort of dresses the same and feels the same, and it's just all about self-discovery. But from a movie standpoint, I 1000% agree. You are telling us where your characters are at through their clothing at every beat in the film. So yes, you do see Cady go from like comfy jeans, and then I love that Gretchen's like, and you only allowed to wear your hair in a ponytail once a week. So I guess you pick today.
So like kind of passive aggressive, like, okay. And then I like how later at the mall she takes her hair down.
I noticed that too. Hair down while she's at the mall. Let's talk about the mall scene, because that's another Regina George moment and a bit of a like, whoa, Cady, what have I got myself into? Because they see that the guy that Gretchen's interested in is with another girl. It's like, he won't be seeing anyone. And this is another one of those Regina George moments where I'm like, how did she think to like call the mum, call through the operator so it's not like tracked, and then say like, we've got your test from Planned Parenthood. And when you're watching it, you're sort of like, oh, that's delicious. Like, you sort of, oh, as a movie standpoint, it's interesting. But the heartbreaking beat, and what is so good that Tina Fey was so smart to write in, is that you see the consequences of those actions then. And you see the character of Taylor just for a split second pick up the phone and go, Mom, like, and Cady catches that. And that's the point. She can see that what they're doing is wrong, and it's so bitchy. That's not the exact right word for it, but it is. It feels mean without having any sort of real intent or feeling behind it all. It's just being mean for mean's sake.
Yeah, you could say cruel intentions.
Oh, we have to do that one day. Oh, a lot of great female characters in that movie.
Well, because I do think this movie very much, not parody, but there's definitely some like satire of just like teen dramas or like teen comedies, rather.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got so many in the 90s, and then we got some from the 80s as well with like the John Hughes movies. I can definitely see all that being taken into account for sure.
I actually, just a side note real quick, I actually watched Jawbreaker yesterday because I was just like, I was feeling it. Oh my God, Kelly, you have to see it. But like, I just had the Mean Girls high of it all, and I was just like, okay. I was like, I kept thinking of Jawbreaker when I was like watching on this watch, and I was like, I just want to watch it again. And I watched it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, yeah, the DNA is totally here. I would say, instead of calling that one Mean Girls, I'd say Evil Girls. It's a little bit darker. But I definitely see a lot of moments, like the slow-mo walk. Which I know that's used in a lot of like teen comedies, like the slow-mo, like hot girl walk, which we even had that in The Craft.
That's true. She's a dangerous type. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jawbreaker has that as well. But anyways, I digress. Totally going off track, sorry. In regards to the mall scene, I think talking about kind of at the beginning of this, where like how would maybe like a newer audience just seeing this movie for the first time, malls aren't really like a thing anymore. That was such a staple of like social connections, was going to the mall, like in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, I don't know about you, Kelly, but like so much of my like just social life and like things that happened was like, okay, meet you at the mall. Like, and of course there's a movie theater at the mall too. So it's like, let's go see a movie, go to the mall.
Insert Robin Sparkles from How I Met Your Mother here. Like, let's go to the mall.
Let's go to the mall today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I agree. Even in like my small Australian town, like there wasn't much to do, so you went to the shopping centre and you hung around and you kicked about, and then you went to a payphone and you called Malcolm. Like, like no money and stuff. Like you had like maybe $5 or something to go down and buy some stuff. And yeah, as you sort of said, it was just like a place to hang out for sure. Anytime a character in this, I was thinking of that too, things that are just like a little bit defunct nowadays. Anytime a character pulls out a flip phone, oh my God, I'm so stoked.
Yes.
Just seeing the old style phones, I was living for that. Another thing I thought of, Melissa, as well, is like a lot of the slang used definitely lives in the moment. So things like biatch, like you said that heaps. Yeah, just some of the terminology and some of the things that really have lived in the 2000s was taking me back. So I love that you brought up the mall scene.
And I want to say that this is one of the first times, because like throughout the movie, Cady kind of has like her like inner dialogue / like mindset of like the animal world. And I want to say that this is one of the first scenes with like...
at the watering hole.
The watering hole, which I really like those scenes of like in her mind, and then later on maybe reality too. But
so after this, they go to Regina's house, and we meet. Like at the time, I could not relate at all, but I'm watching this movie now, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like much closer to Amy Poehler's character's age than like the Regina George age now. And I definitely say like I'm not a regular mom, I'm a cool mom, like heaps, or insert, I'm not a regular, I'm a this. This scene is great, and it shows you just how thrust into a different world Cady really is, because she would never have seen the mum with the boob job and just being so casual. And Melissa, the juicy couture velour tracksuit.
Oh my God, that was such a thing.
On. They go into her bedroom and like put on music, and it's still Cady getting adjusting to the girl world, because the girls go stand in front of the mirror and it's like, I hate my pores and I have man shoulders and here's all the things that's wrong with me. And that definitely felt like everything we went through in the 2000s. Like, because we used to get, well, in Australia it was like Dolly and Girlfriend. For you might be like 17 or Cosmo or whatever, and there was like 17 tips and tricks to like reduce pores or how to get that guy. Like, I feel like that was a big part of it all, and we were told a lot to focus on what is wrong with you. And that's definitely was part of the culture at the time, and to be envious of other people for what they have and not be able to see in awe and have major body image issues.
I think the standard of beauty and all that has progressed in the past 20 years, I would say. But I think there's just still gonna maybe always be that natural like insecurity of just being a teenager, because your body is changing and people are mean at school. Like I don't think either of the things are going away. So like I think that's a very like universal feeling. But yeah, it very much was the culture in the early 2000s of like just body weight. And like you were saying, I think it was very pushed in our media, because magazines used to be a thing.
Or you think about like America's Next Top Model, like, do you want to be on top? Like that was all premiering at the time and everything like that.
What's her face? Kate Moss?
Kate Moss, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. I definitely have thought that in my head a lot. It's sad.
Yeah, and it did kind of remind me of our Josie and the Pussycat episode of like just like Fiona like wanting to like talk with the girls and fit in. And I think you see it a lot in this time period in comedies for sure, because I think that was something that was definitely an issue at the time that was trying to be kind of addressed in our movies, in pop culture. I like when you were saying at the beginning, like they put on music and they're and she's like, do you know who this is or whatever? And the Spice Girls? Oh, she's so cute. She's like a Martian. Or something like that. Yeah. And then I think it was an earlier scene, but they mentioned like Ashton Kutcher, and she's like, "Is that a band?"
You just do it.
I just love all those little moments of like
the little pop culture references at the time. Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, really quick, I know that was earlier, but I love your work, Danny DeVito. In this scene of like just hanging out in Regina's bedroom that she swapped with her parents, which I think is just like such a ridiculous detail, we get introduced to the burn book. Kelli, what are your thoughts on this infamous burn book?
This definitely was either happening at the time in some form, because as you sort of said, this is like right on the cusp of not having social media. So theoretically, we used to be able to go home from school and not have to hear all the crap people talking about us. We used to be able to. And then MSN Messenger came along, at least in my school, or at least in my experience. And that was the start, definitely 2003, 2004, of being able to connect with people at home. I think this definitely was a sign of what was happening at the time, where you used to just have to write notes. You used to have to write notes about how much you hated people and things like that, and pass them to your friends in class and all that. You didn't have that instant connection. So something like this burn book in a big physical copy makes a lot of sense. And on one hand, I'm like, this is an absolute iconic thing of the film. Like, this is still being parodied to this day. I saw a Drag Race look of it this year, and I saw someone at DragCon do like a whole thing about it. So it is still a reference people get. If you say burn book, that imagery I've seen used on shirts, on podcast artwork, like it's part of that movie imagery. But God, do I hate what it was like to go through after watching this movie, because definitely people tried to do their own versions of it, and it was really hard. It was definitely some of the first form of after school bullying that I was observed, noticeably.
I echo a lot of what you're saying. Yeah, we definitely had some similar things occur, in middle school, high school, related to the burn book. Not the exact same thing, but very similar in nature, and maybe not as aesthetically pleasing how it looks. But yeah, I mean, I think it does, again, tap into just the cattiness of girls and just people in high school, and just people are very judgmental of different things, or maybe don't know the whole story of situations. Yeah, I think this movie does a good job of just showing just how rumors maybe get started, and like maybe that there is a truth to some, like with the coach, which is like situation, versus like the Tina Fey, that was just a straight up lie
concocted by Lizzy Lohan. Like, it was an offhand joke, and it's like, yes. And then it's become into that.
The burn book is very iconic, and it's definitely like one of the first things I think of when I think of Mean Girls.
This movie definitely got a little bit imitated and bled into our real lives. And I would say that at my table of friends, I remember one distinct situation where one friend thought she wanted to be a plastic. Like, much after seeing this film, started dressing the same, started like cancelling plans with my table. Wasn't one of my closest friends, so like no skin off my nose, but definitely wanted to be more than what she saw her as at the time, wanted to leave her friends and get new friends. And one of my other friends, this is 2005, so I remember this nearly 20 years later, said she wants to be plastic, but she's more like Tupperware.
Okay. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
It's funny, but it's like, it's bullying. It's like, it reminds me, watching this movie, of like a Janice. That's what it reminds me of. It reminded me of like a Janice Regina, where we used to be best friends. And that's another thing. Sometimes when you are friends with people in middle school, you do sort of venture off and you become enemies. I definitely had sort of friends like that, we were really close as young. And then as we grow apart and grow older, words can get said, and you can go in the different directions and like different things and start to explore different facets of your personality or cliquey-like behaviors. And then it does happen. Like, as you said, girls can be very, very catty. A lot of the burn book stuff, definitely, even if I didn't experience it to that degree, rings very true to what my high school experience was around at that time, because as I also said, it bled into. This movie definitely influenced girl behavior afterwards.
This movie was a pop culture phenomenon, for better or worse in some ways, because I definitely agree. Like, there's definitely people making different lists of sorts for different reasons, and it's like, are you on the list? Are you not on the list? All that
this
kind of stuff.
This is also around the time of MySpace just about to come out, and top 8 friends. So here we go.
Are you on my top 8?
Are you on my top 8?
You can't sit with us, so you're not on it. Obviously, another part of girl world is crushes, the different crushes you have on people. Cady is in calculus, 12th grade calculus, so she meets Aaron Samuels, who sits in front of her, and she starts to develop a crush on him. And we come to find during a lunch scene when Regina is, whatever, I'm getting cheese fries.
his hands.
And we find out between Gretchen and Karen that Regina and Aaron used to date, and basically telling Cady that, like, hey, that's off limits. That's the rules of feminism to, like, not date people that your friends have dated.
This is definitely another turning point in the movie, because we've set up that, you know, Janice wants to spy on Regina in some sense. And Cady's like, she's nice. Oh, she's not nice. She's got some fucking roleplay.
She ruined my life.
She ruined my life. So up until this point, we're not seeing that side of her really, not come out in full force. When boys get involved, the claws come out, for sure. And it's high school. It's a small, everyone knows everyone. Everyone's in everyone's business. And as you sort of said, it's also the time where hormones are ranging and crushes are developing. And so you can have crushes on, like, different people throughout. Like, it's very rarely you just get infatuations with different people. The part I like the most about this is that Gretchen goes, Regina, it'll be our little secret. And how true that is, because there's no such thing as a secret. Pretty Little Liars. We can keep a secret if one of them is dead. Like, that is the only way. Then we get the three-way call scene. And here's where it all starts to start turning, because Regina calls Cady, I know your secret. Oh God, what? Like, thinking it's the spy. I know you have a crush on Aaron Samuels. The way she's delivering it, Rachel McAdams is so good in this movie. I love Lindsay Lohan. We talked about it, like, that's our girl. That girl raised us in movies. Like, we love The Parent Trap and Freaky Friday and Confessions of a Drama Queen, Just My Luck. Like, she was the it girl for the teen experience of the early 2000s. And she's so fantastic in this movie. She's got great comedic chops. But her and Rachel McAdams go toe-to-toe throughout the whole movement for whose movie it is, in my opinion. Yeah, a lot of this is like, because you can be mad at her, you know, because it's a pretty bitchy thing that she did. And the goading, the manipulation, as I sort of said, and Cady just wants to please Regina. Like, yeah, I guess it was pretty bitchy, but I'm not mad at her.
I'm not mad.
See,
Gretchen, I told you she's
be
not
mad.
mad. I can't believe you think I like attention.
When the first time I watched that, and the cuts in this film, the editing choices, I just love the way the frames all move around, and then you get Gretchen come in, and then just the hang up, and I love you, bye, click.
Oh, it's so good.
I feel like I've experienced it again. Like, I'm getting flashbacks.
I'm with you. I've experienced a three-way call attack. And I don't know. I probably have also done it as well. Like, I think that's another thing watching this movie. It's like, I was a mean girl at different points in my life.
Oh, everyone has been.
Yeah.
Everybody has been.
And I think sometimes I might want to, like, pretend that I wasn't or something, or like, no, you know, I was super nice. No, I did that. And I've been on the receiving end too. Yeah. The editing, I thank you for calling that out, because I completely agree. I think the movement of it and the flow, it just, it really makes sense from, like, a movie perspective, but also, like you're saying, like, you feel like you're reliving this experience if you lived around this time.
Nowhere. Cooling men into the scene almost, like. Then we get the turn again. It's Aaron Samuel's Halloween party, and he invites Cady. Cady, not knowing the other rule of girl world, it is the one night of the year you can dress like a total slut and nobody can say anything. And this still rings true today. And at first as a teenager, I was like, I hate that, because I would rather wear like a costumey costume like what Cady did. And now I'm sort of like, go off, you know. Nowadays we would get like the superhero version. Like, I think of Harley Quinn as sort of like the equivalent of the rabbit costume, because the hardcore girls just wear lingerie and some sort of bunny and some sort of animal ears. What are you supposed to be? I'm a mouse. Duh. But we see Aaron Samuels and Cady chatting. Who else sees it, more importantly, is Regina. And this is what I was talking about at the top of the show, with the way she's able to manipulate and change. Oh, you know that girl, Cady? I know she's homeschooled and kind of a freak, but if you could just be nice to her, because she has a big crush on you. Like, she sees his reaction, that she sees it, that he's into her. It's really cute. She writes like Aaron Samuels in little hearts all over your notebook. And like she got this t-shirt and she wears under all of her clothes that says I heart Aaron. Like just stuff like that. So not only does she negate Cady down, and it's so unfortunate, the little wave, like she's so excited and then they're like,
yeah.
And then to change it to be like, no, I want you back. Like, why would I dump you? You're so hot. The kiss and then the whole big what? It's definitely where you see Regina's true colours coming through, or at least Cady is starting to see all that. And that's where we get, okay, we're taking down Regina George.
I will call out the editing as well, like you're saying, like just the whole reveal of like how you're saying like how she picks up that he's into her, and like just the glances and the way it kind of goes back and forth, and then like that slow kind of pan to Cady of like slut, like in the inner monologue of it too. And I think again it feels relatable in the sense of like, I don't know, I feel like all of us have been in a situation when we're a teenager where maybe we have expectations about a certain social situation and it just doesn't go as you want, and like just that inner turmoil, and like you just want to hide underneath the blanket and disappear. And that's the feeling I got, when she is going through that. I just want to say I do love her kind of scary costume. I think it's great.
And ex-wife.
And I love the transition of like her going to Janice and Damien, and I love how they're not at the party. They're hanging out with each other, watching a horror movie, not at the party, kind of emphasizing again how they're kind of outcasts or whatever. But then this is where they devise their plan to take down Regina George. And I love that Janice has this like sword on the chalkboard. Like it like adds this level of like aggression to the scene, and also just like kind of uncomfortable too, of like the nails
sound
on a chalkboard.
Yes. Regina George is an evil dictator. How do you take down a dictator? You cut off their resources. If she would be nothing with her hot arm candy, Aaron Samuels, her
buddy, you know it,
hot buddy, and her something work reasons like army of skanks is on the board.
Army of skanks, yes.
So that sets up our second half of the movie of this is what we're going to do is take out Regina George by fucking with in basically those three elements.
Okay, let's rock this bitch.
Then the soundtrack of this film also goes off because we get Blondie one way or another. Anytime that one way or another, doom.
It's so good. Turn it up.
It's like
Let's go.
Like,
yeah. Agreed. Yeah, and this soundtrack is really good.
So they do these plans to sort of take out Regina. They give her foot cream instead of face pimply cream. They do the iconic bra, like cut out the nips on the bra. But it becomes a trend because that's just who Regina is. Like if she's doing it, the confidence of putting on this singlet, the bra showing, she goes and strut.
Oh, it's so good. I'm just like, okay, bitch.
Her, but I love her. So they do these little mild things and just aren't getting anywhere. And it comes up to Christmas. It's going to be this Christmas concert. Cady's a part of it because they do Jingle Bell Rock every year. And they're going to they're going to crack Gretchen Wieners with 3 candy canes. So this is where I think a lot more of the mean girl behavior comes out in Cady, because that is a Regina George manipulation move to send herself one. Thanks from Regina. I don't send candy canes, I just get them. And she also sees how Regina interacts with other people and keeps them cute. Oh, I love your skirt. Where'd you get it from? That is the ugliest looking skirt I've ever seen. Flashback to when Regina said the same thing to her. So it's just like emphasizing to Cady that she's sort of doing what she thinks is the right thing at the moment, that Regina George deserves some sort of comeuppance. She sends a candy cane to herself, another Gretchen Wieners. Another, that is used so often. Another Gretchen Wieners.
And 4 for Glen Coco. You go, Glen Coco.
Glen Coco? 4 for you, Glen Coco. You go, Glen Coco. 1 for you. And none for Gretchen Wieners. Bye.
I completely agree. I think the Jingle Bell Rock scene specifically, just to kind of talk about the clothes again, I think this is the first time we're really seeing Cady in something pretty revealing and like tight. I think there's been like little micro maybe outfits before this that kind of show that, but I think this like really kind of like solidifies it that like I'm turning plastic if I know it or not. Like I think like that's kind of what's happening with Cady's character, and like you're saying, I think as things progress, as they're crossing things off of this list of Aaron Samuels, Hot Body, and Army of Skanks, you see the change in Cady like quite drastically, especially like how she talks with Aaron, like failing math, you know, just to like get his attention and tutored by him. And then also just later on when she does have the party and she's like, hope to see you there, biatch, or she says something like that to him. And it's just like
talk and emulate Regina. She does that thing. So you better send me one, biatch. Like that.
Yeah.
The use of narration with the Aaron Samuels interactions, I love. Because
so good.
She asks the questions and she's like, wrong. So wrong. It was wrong. Or like maybe tutoring is like, when I first got this, I got one wrong. And then I looked again and I got this. Right. I got that too. So it just really is a good little tool to solidify that Cady really is that smart. She is an advanced calculus, so she knows what she's talking about. So Miss Norbury, I think, says it like, dummy yourself down for some guy is not the way, because all her working out is there, and then she puts the wrong answer. Which, you got to be smarter than that, bitch. Like, if you are going to pretend to fail, you don't do all the right stuff and then go, oh, this is how I get it. You got to go from the beginning. Like, anyway, I too feel like as things are being taken away from Regina, that is when everyone starts to sort of like Cady a bit more. And it also comes out with the Spring Fling nominations. I think that's the big point as well, when she gets nominated. I was really nominated. And they make fun of her for that. But it's a big turn in the film that Cady is now taking the place of Regina to some extent with Aaron Samuels, and with definitely Gretchen and Karen liking Cady a lot more, because we get that big meltdown from Gretchen. Why does everyone like Caesar? Brutus is just as cute as Caesar. Gretchen Brutus had cracked. We get that Regina George cheats on Aaron Samuels, so that's how they're gonna get them to break up, is to practice up in the auditorium. We get Blondie again. Oh no, my purse looks like it's
That's why I wore hoops today, because you know I'm not allowed to wear hoop earrings, right? She told me 2 years ago that hoop earrings were her thing.
I caught that straight away when I saw you wearing hoops. I'm like, yes, go off. I know what you were doing.
I was like, sorry, Regina. I'm wearing hoops tonight.
The sad part is I've got this really cute pair of gold hoops for Hanukkah.
And then also just the progression of all the different things that they're doing to Regina with like the gaining of the weight, and how she's like, I can only wear sweatpants right now, and the infamous scene where like she's like, you can't sit with us, like the rules, and then she's like, whatever, like, and trying to like revert back, and they're like, but rules are rules, you know, and it's like, you can't sit with us.
I feel like that's like fetch. During the time Gretchen has been trying to make fetch happen, it's like London slang. And the Christmas concert is one of those parts of the movie I definitely think of when I first think of the movie, because we get them dancing to Jingle Bell Rock, like it, and the Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell Rock. And I'm like, whoa.
And then Amy Poehler, yeah.
Wanting to be one of the girls. It's so good. And Cady saving the day. That's another thing. Like, she's done something for Regina that the others couldn't do. They're like, it's the best one yet. And Gretchen messing up, kicking the jukebox and not being on the left. Fetch is never going to happen. Stop trying to make fetch happen. We can see those two being really pitted against each other. So Cady becoming more of the second fiddle to Regina, so more than Gretchen is. And even when Gretchen starts spilling the secrets, we hear Cady say, even though Gretchen knows it's better to be in the plastics hating life than to not be in it. And that's just that little hold that sort of click feeling really has for you. As you said, things have been majorly crossed off at this time. The Army of Skanks, now friends with Cady, and we see Karen and Gretchen trailing Cady around. Hot body, crossed off. Sweatpants wearing, you can't sit with us. And Aaron Samuels crossed off. They've been able to make sure that she knows. Oh, no, Cady is the one that spills it. That's the thing. Because we're trying to get Aaron Samuels to catch Regina and Shane Oman in the act. But Aaron is tutoring Cady, and she's having a party, and a few cool people will be there, so you better show up, bitch. Oh, just exactly speaking the way Regina does. They're tutoring, and she's like, why do you like her so much? She's cheating on you. And she's the one to break it to Aaron. Yeah. I think that's big mean girl behavior.
Yeah, and also right before that, they kiss. So, which is like very like hypocritical, because like technically that means, Aaron, you're cheating too. You were saying earlier, like, once crushes are involved here, like, the claws were coming out on Regina's end, and it's very much the same thing with Cady as well. He does find out, or they break up because of the cheating, and this is where Cady definitely is trying to swoop in on Aaron, because he's now single.
And she's going to host this party. Her parents are away, and we can see that sort of behavior that wouldn't be our Cady that we met at the first half of the movie start to come out. So she's lying to her parents. She's dressing the costumes at this party scene I live for. This tube dress, the black and pink. Oh, I love it. You look so hot. I know, right? Speaking like Regina still, looking in the mirror, I'm doing major plastic sabotage tonight. Like, I can't come to your art show, I'm doing plastic sabotage, but she's not, she's having a party. Or I found myself obsessing over her when someone wasn't bringing her up, I was trying to find reasons to bring her up. Just that sort of real psychological change that we really see in Cady comes out of this house party scene. And I like that we get the party is happening and Aaron Samuels finds Cady, like it's a picture of Regina and her, and picks it up, and it's her in Africa. And that music, I don't know what song it is, but
I know exactly what you mean. Yes, that one. But he like gets excited. Like, he clearly likes Cady for who she truly is when she's being her authentic self. But when she's in plastic mode, he's not interested. It's very sweet. Again, the way they kind of show us that, like, in the audience with the music and, like, yeah, the different pictures. And then, yeah, she comes into the room and she's really trying to make her moves. And yeah, this part is cringe. And you know, she's trying to make a move on him, and she reveals also that, like, she has been playing dumb in math just to win him over and talk with him. And he's just like, why wouldn't you just talk to me? And then,
because I couldn't, because you're Regina's property. Her property? Wait, no, shut up. No, don't tell me to shut up.
And then it spirals.
The word vomit. No, actual vomit. Melissa.
Oh, that has to be the worst. Like, barfing on the person you have a crush on. And, like,
been there, done that. Still cringing about it 20 years later.
Yeah. Not great. Yeah, it's rough. It is rough.
Yeah. What is also rough is the scene after, because Aaron Samuels storms out, just like has had it. Regina says, oh, I made her. Why are you eating those calcium bars that make you put on weight? Screaming. And we get Janice and Damien drive past. Did you listen to awesome music and have an awesome time with your awesome friends and just basking each other's awesomeness? The way that Lizzy Caplan delivers this line, you're not pretending anymore. You are full-blown plastic. At least Regina and I know what we are. You're a mean girl, Cady. You're a bitch. The way she punctuates. Bitch.
Yeah, no, it's so good. I feel like this is like the cultivating kind of moment in the film. Like, it's like, you are a mean girl. You are a bitch. Yeah, I agree. Like, just the line delivery is so good. It's also very comedic with Damien being like, I got curfew. I gotta go. Like, kind of happening in the background. But then it's like this very pivotal scene in the film of, like, it's that full circle moment of, like, you are a mean girl and you've become maybe what you you weren't maybe trying to become a mean girl, but you have.
I think a big part of that as well is seeing the picture that Janice has made of the three of them, and it's Cady, them all dressed out the first day they met, what she was at the start of the film. I don't want to say original form or things like that, because I think people are allowed to grow and change and make mistakes, but just the first time before she'd been so exposed to the plastics, I think that maybe hits home to Cady of how she sort of changed. And then another pivotal moment.
Oh,
Regina
so
George.
good.
Having lost everything. And I love this outfit, Melissa. The cold shoulder tops with the different color bra straps took me back to the 2000s big time. Rachel McAdams with her hair in a plait and these hoops and the black shoulder top. Just, yes, and storming into her room, thinking I was over, cutting up. Do not trust this girl. She is the nastiest skank bitch I've ever met. She's a fugly slut. Like, just skank and fugly took me out at the time because I've not heard those terms in the longest time. Brilliantly, mastermindedly puts her own photo in there, gives it to the principal.
Fat whore.
Like sniffling.
Why did we say that? Regina George goes and cries to the principal. There's only 3 girls in the whole school that are in that book. And so then Cady, Gretchen, and Karen get called in. Regina George has photocopied galore pages when she is walking down the hall, this under there, this over there. Oh, I'm living for her. Like, she is so the character you love to hate. She does it so well. And this big all-out girl brawl starts in the hallway.
Yeah, just to go back a moment. Yeah, that scene where she just screams and goes into her bedroom. It's so good. Like, for a long time. Like, I love the editing and, like, how long the scream is. And then, yeah, just the, like, cinematic twist of, like, it not being somebody, you know, you think it's going to be Cady, and then it's herself. It's just, it's such a good little twist. And, like, I love the way that it's filmed, too. It's, like, you know, building tension in the music, and then it's Regina George. But, yeah, no, the scene of her causing the chaos at school is just brilliant. I love how she's just like watching the chaos unfold, like the
with her Louis Vuitton little clutch bag, the LV pattern, and all this,
and just like watching it all unfold. And this is where the animal world and girl world are now colliding, like the visions that Cady's been having the whole movie. It's actually happening now. And yeah, the junior girls have gone insane.
Yeah. Oh, hell no. Tim Meadows in this is so good.
Great.
Such an underappreciated role, I think. Like, that needs to be up there with comedic performances, like little side characters. He kills every scene he's in. There's one scene where when he's got the bat and he's standing in the hallway, if you look in the background at some of these girls fighting.
Oh, it's great.
Do you know exactly? They're like, and I'm sitting there going, girls, come on. Where some of the girls are like going at it and stuff. Like, we're not hair pulling here today. Like, we are going in. But then other girls are just like in front of the lockers.
I love the girl that's like hanging on the door. Like, what happened there?
Now, this scene I adore because it really gets into, so Tina Fey's written this script based off the book Queen Bees and Wannabes, which isn't a fiction book, it's a non-fiction book. It was trying to break down the psychological, what's happening in cliques and what teenage girls are going through at the time and talk about behavior. And I see it come through in this scene so badly when they talk about, well, it's not a self-esteem issue. I think a lot of them are pretty proud of themselves right now. And seeing that now as an adult, that's so interesting. Whereas when you're a teenage girl, I think the part I took away was put your hand up if you've said something mean. Okay, now put your hand up if you've had something mean said about you. I think that's very true. And then trying to break down about why and then do a lot of those sort of team building-esque exercises, the trust falls, things like that. Put your hand up if you've ever felt personally victimized by Regina George.
Just
I think Tina Fey kills it at this scene. This, I really like that they put in to talk about some sort of healing and the way that it's not just written off like this. Like, you can build bridges, and even Cady's narration talks about each clique had their own problem and we just needed to sort of talk and work through it. I think it's not a be-all, end-all. I just wish we could go back to middle school and everything was sunshine and rainbows. She doesn't go here! It's not that everything's all fixed, but I remember in my school, I reckon we did these sorts of things, definitely. This movie came out, I remember these sorts of things happening. Melissa, did you go through anything similar to this, or does this ring true, or do you like these moments?
I love the gymnasium scene. In my notes, I put gymnasium therapy scene, because I feel like that's kind of what's happening. You know, it's like time to do some therapy with my classmates. I think this scene is just really well done, and I think this really hits home with how a lot of girls feel in high school. And also on this rewatch, I very much realized that Miss Norbury is really the only female character that is kind of like the hero in a way. Like, everyone else has kind of been a villain at some point, I guess is what I'm getting at.
She's a force for good. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I really like saw that on this rewatch and in this scene. But I will say, it was kind of shitty of her to call out Regina George in front of everyone. But at the same time, it feels relatable, because I don't know about you, but I definitely had experiences in high school and in school where like teachers would do that, and it like sucks. Like, that they would like call somebody out maybe in a inappropriate way. So in some ways it felt like realistic, but at the same time I was like, damn, that's kind of savage. Like, just be like, has anyone been personally victimized by Regina George?
Half the staff lift up their hand, like, yeah.
But it's a good comedic like moment, though, like in the movie.
I love that you bring up Miss Norbury, because I definitely see like a lot of real life people in her, like a lot of teachers like I've sort of met, of just wanting to educate and do their job and like working with the youth. It's really hard to deal with behavioral issues, it's hard to deal with the social side, it's hard, it's not a high paying job, so she's working the 2 extra jobs, and like, I just really saw a lot of real worldisms in that character. And I'm just a huge Tina Fey fan anyway. Liz Lemon is my absolute idol.
Oh my god.
So I loved seeing her, and a lot of the wittiness I think came through and came from her. So this gymnasium scene's great. But we see Cady try and back out of owning up to all the bad things she's done, because she said, I can't say anything without being blamed for the whole thing. And even then with the trust fall, she backs out of it, and Janice goes up and just blows up the whole spot, blows up everything.
Suck all that!
We see the crowd part, and Regina and Cady get the standoff. And Melissa, every time this scene happens, I still like I get a jump scare shock of Regina storming out. They just say that you're a left version of me. This bus comes through and takes out Regina George, and that's how Regina George died. No, I'm just kidding, but she was pretty hurt. I'm like, get out! Like, the narration is fantastic. The reaction, everything. Some people, they say they saw her head flew off. That was a rumor. Some people say I pushed her. That was an even worse rumor. And yeah, this is where we see Cady needing to own up to all her actions. When the snake bites you, you suck out the venom. So she goes around trying to make her apologies to people, and then join mathletes as well. So she can't be part of Spring Fling Queen. She has to go to the mathletes meeting, and then we see Spring Fling. What's your sort of takeaway from this wrap-up redemption arc we sort of see from Cady?
Yeah, just to speak about the bus really quick, I do like that we get like foreshadowing of it, like at the very beginning of the movie.
Yes!
Like, you know, she's first just walking into school, like on the very first day, like we kind of get that shot of like she almost kind of has an interaction with the bus. I love that. And then also there's some dialogue when she kind of first meets Aaron Samuels that she's like, oh, it feels like I just got hit by a bus. Or she says something to that effect.
But this one hit me like a big yellow school bus.
Which I kind of love. Again, just the stuff with the script is so good. And then obviously it actually happens, which is like terrible. Like, wow, like that's quite
I can't believe they went there, honestly. In a teen comedy, I can't believe they went there.
I feel like it's done in such a way that it works, but yeah, it's a bit dark for sure. I like the wrap up of this movie. I like that she, again, sorry to talk about the clothes again, but like I feel like after this scene, again, she's finding fashion and like just she's more settled, I think, in who she is as a person, and I love kind of seeing that through the clothes, but then also just she's just trying to do all the right things. You know, she's like, you know, she loves math, so stop denying it. Like, join the mathletes and own it, girl. I love that she does that. And then the scene at the end of the film of like going to the spring fling and being crowned spring fling queen. I love I love the speech that she does, and then Tim Meadow just keeps coming and like, you really don't have to do this. Like most people just like take the crown and leave, and she's like, just hold on. And I love that little interaction.
The self-awareness is brilliant. Yeah,
but I really do love Cady's speech to the crowd, and like I think it's really poignant, and I think it really hits on just, again, the importance of just being yourself and like being authentic and not getting caught up in the drama of it all. But of course, like I think it's a part of the high school experience, though. Like, you're gonna have some kind of drama or social issue at some point. Like it is a part, I think, of the experience. But yeah, I do love the way they wrap up the movie here.
I like that, as you sort of said, she goes to the mathletes and she's in jeans, and you see her put up her hair. So again, it's like hair and costuming all playing a big part in telling us where our character's mindset is. I love that at the mathletes meeting, you know, they pick the girls to go against each other, and there's this monologue she does, like she has lipstick on her snaggletooth and her stockings have rips in them and all that, but telling her, like, breaking down what her appearance is doesn't mean that I'm going to beat her in this moment. I really like that message. And then even that the other girl answers first, just, oh crap, I lost. Like, I enjoy that she's sort of having these sorts of thoughts, and the limit does not exist.
Yes.
And I agree, the speech is great because they point out characters that we've seen but haven't been named. So like, it's like, Emma, that hairstyle must have taken hours, and you look really pretty. Just really relatable, humanizing parts like that. I feel like I would hear actual young girls speak like that. Because sometimes when you're delivering these big speeches, it's like, it's just plastic. Is it on the nose? Yes. Am I watching a movie? Yes. So I like it. You know, I don't need that to be, I don't need it to be the whole way. It's a good balance of getting the message across and making it still feel like something someone would do, like a piece for you and throw it. Like, I feel like I would see possibly someone do that, you know. So I think it is a really good wrap up, and they talk about girl world is safe for now. We see Regina's gone and diverted her anger to the jocks. Gretchen's found a new clique. Karen does the weather. It's like, sisters to me. Janice is there, and everyone's sort of like have found new groups. So girl world was safe for now, and we see the next group. And if anyone comes to disturb the peace, we know how to deal with them and bust jump. Like, oh look, Junior Plastics. And I think that's a really, really, really good note to end on, because there's always going to be the next year. There's always going to be, as you sort of said, this is the universal experience. Everyone sort of goes through this at some point. So just because like you finished going through this, the next year group is going to start going through this, and so on and so forth. So it's good to acknowledge that, but sort of know that we're going to try and make it better for people. But as you sort of said, we're still making
something minor that I wanted to bring up in the spring fling scene. I love, like, because there's a scene that Cady and Aaron like are dancing and like get together essentially because they have the kiss or whatever. But like right before that, it plays the song. Like I love that it's now the characters can hear it, and she's like, I know this song. It's so good. I just wanted to mention that. I kind of like an open ending, but this is like the complete opposite. Everything's like pretty, like, I feel like it's a very clean ending. Like, we kind of know where everyone is at. And I love it. Like, I love that Regina is now in sports, and like it like makes sense, and like I'm glad that she has an outlet for her rage. Like, because she clearly has it. Everyone's little like kind of the way that they end up. I really like how the movie ends. And like you said, we kind of get that like little jump scare funny joke of like the three wannabe new plastics almost get hit by the bus. I think it's a cute little like wink and a good way to end the movie.
Yeah, seeing where everyone ends up, it's very the American Graffiti, like the high school ending, like that's how we wrap up movies. But it's also very true that, as we sort of mentioned, like each year at school, you might have a completely different group of friends. You know, people social butterfly and change and move around and find other people they're connecting with at different points of life. So I like that in her group, you know, Karen's there as well, and Janice is with her new boyfriend and all that. So I love it. Melissa, we're talking high school movies and coming of age. What do you think the legacy and impact of Mean Girls is and will continue to be?
It's still a cultural phenomenon. Like, I mean, I think October 3rd has now been like declared Mean Girls Day. Like, that is a thing.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
It's October 3rd.
I think people still very much quote this movie. I think people are still discovering it and still enjoying it for the most part. But again, like you said at the beginning, let us know, comments below, like if you are newer to the movie, like, do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it not funny? Is it funny? Like, I am curious, like with fresh eyes, like what does this movie really look like? Because I just don't think I can ever look at it without a bias and a love for it.
No.
It's just one of those movies. It is really interesting that it has now been adapted to a Broadway play. I haven't seen it. I would love to see it at this point now that I have seen the 2024 movie. But no, I mean, I think the legacy is that high school is a time where you're trying to know where you fit in the world. And I think it's one of the first times we are navigating different like social structures and politics and like, what does that look like? And I think it definitely bleeds into your adult life, like how you handle and your experiences, you know, during that time of life. And I think ultimately, yeah, it just goes with like, just being authentic is always the way, but it's not always maybe the easiest way or the way that and you maybe initially start.
Mean Girls, as you sort of say, it's the ultimate millennial movie, I think. Really.
Yeah.
and in that way, it's just an absolute snapshot of the culture at the time in the way that teen movies really show what was happening. Like, it is the keepers of pop culture. So in the 80s, we had Breakfast Club, and I feel like that was the teen experience. In the 90s, we had Clueless, and that felt like teen experience. In the 2000s, we had Mean Girls, and very reflective of everything we've spoken today. In the 2010s, it's really interesting because I think we have movies like Lady Bird and Booksmart, and we have a really big change in what the teenage girl high school experience is. So it's really interesting. I think Mean Girls is one of the last ones to be of this sort of teen comedy vein. I think it's changed a lot since, and I think that's why it's one of the ones that hit at the exact right time to be a phenomenon, and a lot of teenagers saw it and relate and now keep talking about it and keep experiencing. So that's what I mean with like the millennials. We love our nostalgia. Like, we do not let shit go. And this is one of them. This is one that will keep going. I can tell in another 10 years' time when we're in our 40s, we'll still be saying quotes from this movie. Like, it is going to keep perpetuating on and on. And I love to see it. I think it deserves that status. I think for a long time it was like too close to say, like it had just been released. And it's like you couldn't call it a classic straight away. I would call it a classic in the same way that I call Clueless a high school classic. Like, I think it's very much on that podium of teen movies and high school movies for me. So I'm really happy we got to talk about it today and geek out and enjoy it all. If you watched it recently and it didn't hit you on your experience, if this was your movie, leave us a comment, please. Like, I want to see everyone be like, this is my movie. You guys talked about exactly the same things I went through. Leave us a quote even. Like, I would love that. Give me a, this video was fetched. Give me a, she doesn't even go here. Like, what is the quote that you use in your daily life? That is what I want to know. Melissa, where can people find us?
You can find us here. If you're new, please subscribe. Yeah, leave us a comment, like all those kind of things. Otherwise, we're on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Letterboxd, we're on TikTok. Until next time, everyone, stay fetch.